Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. Today, I'll be discussing and walking us through how to work with a JSON in Python. So let's take it backward. What is JSON? JSON is actually a JavaScript object notation. It's a data format whereby you can use to exchange data from one application into the another. So nowadays, applications such as Cisco ACI, Cisco DNA Center, and Meraki exchange data through JSON. And it's actually a very popular data format among developers and software engineers. So in this session today, we'll be working how we can modify data with it in Python, engage with it, how to even explore it together. So I have a sample JSON file here. It's called devices.json. So in this JSON file, we have two devices, which is the core router and the DX router. So we'll be unpacking all the details of this JSON file using a Python. So now let's dive in and start exploring. So the first thing you need to do is actually to import JSON, which is the module. So after that, so if you can recall very well, I think it's episode 4. So one of the things we have to use is the with open handler to be able to open the file. So with open the bracket devices dot JSON. So what are we going to do about it? Actually, we are reading the file. We are reading the file. So that's going to be in read mode. Let's say it as a file. And then we can say data equals, so we're assigning the variable, the output of our open handler, data equals to JSON dot load into brackets file. That's what we so the file is, since we open it with the file. So now another very important part here is you can see that I use load. So load, we use load whenever we're working with a file. Assuming I'm working with a string, I'll use loads, the one with S. But I'm working with a file, so it has to be load. So that's the difference between the loads and the load when you're trying to unpack or read using a JSON file. So now with this so now let's start exploring. We've converted this JSON file into a data, right? So this data, let's see what's the class of the data we're trying to say. So print. Let's even try to get the type. So we'll know that the JSON load is converting a JSON file to which type of data structure. Data and save. Let's try. So it's Python working with JSON file. So you can see, so it's saying that the data structure for this particular data variable is dictionary. So all this context of our JSON devices.json is actually being converted into a dictionary. And you know, for every dictionary, it has a structure. We have the key and we have the value. So now let's try to explore other parameters of this particular data structure. Because we've actually converted the whole JSON file into a data variable, which is here. I will confirm the type, right? So let's now explore the keys. So let me just print into brackets. This is a dictionary, data.keys. Data.keys. So interesting. So with this now, you can see that the key of this particular dictionary is devices, which is equals to this key. This is the key. So this key is the main structure of our JSON file, which is actually the dictionary. So other parameters in front of it is going to be the value, right? So now let's start exploring other parameters, but we'll be able to confirm that, okay, well, once you convert with a load method from the JSON file, you convert it from a file, you're going to have a dictionary. From that dictionary, you can now start exploring it, getting the keys there. These are our devices. So now let's take a step further. So let's print. So let's say devices equals data. That's our dictionary. Let's get it with the devices, which is the key. Let's say routers. Let's say routers and devices. So let me print routers. Let me print the type of routers now. So the type of routers is going to be a list, you can see. So which means that the values for the dictionary of these particular devices is going to be a list. And automatically it's going to be a list of dictionaries. So now, interesting part is that let's print. So printing routers now is going to give us all the parameters, all the values in front of the devices. So you can see I have my list here. The host name, the core router, the interface, another host name. So this is one list. This is another list. Interesting. So this is the way to be. So if you actually, that's why I'm actually emphasizing on understanding the fundamentals, how you can wrangle a file, how you can explore a file, and to be able to work with it. So once you understand what is the structure of your data, so you'll be able to actually use the right method or function to be able to work with it. So let's continue exploring our file. And so since we knew that, okay, the data, the devices has a list of data. So now another interesting thing is, okay, let's now say the length. What's the length of the devices? So we can just say, let's find the length of the routers. Let's see how many routers we have. This is a list. So a list, one of the method of a list is length, and I can just say length. So you can see that I have two. So I have two routers there. So it means that, which is respectively the same thing. I have two. So the first one is the core router, and the other one is the DX router. So let's come back here as well. So I've tried to explore the possible methods I can use with my dictionary. So another interesting thing we can do now is that, so let's, since we know that our data consists of dictionaries and it has a list of items in it, so we can do a for loop. So the for loop, let us take up all this, or just whitelist it and say, okay. So now we can now say for we can use a for loop. So this for loop is going to be what is going to be in the stuff. So so we can say the devices in terms of this guy, or we for, since we know that devices is routers. Let's say routers. Let me copy this. Still using this. So this is the router. So we can then use a lot for device, or for router in routers, or for device in let's say for device in routers. Okay, let's print. device. So let's see. So it's going to give us a list of all the routers we have. So the first is the first one. I get it for device and routers, print device. So it's going to be like a follow. Since we know that the item inside these devices is a list of dictionaries. So printing it out one after the other. So another interesting thing we can actually do is we've been able to print it out, get the whole structure of it. So another interesting thing we can actually do is let's even see for each of the device, let's see the key. For example, now device one, maybe the router one has some other, it's like a nested value. It has some other parameter inside it, right? So now let's try to even unlock it and explore it further. So we can actually say, let me just highlight this. Can actually say, okay, for device and routers. So let's print. So another thing I'm going to point out is the format string. So device keys for each device. So now, one of the key value pair for each of the device is host name, right? So now we're trying to wrangle and see, okay, let's even see the content of each device. So now let's just device. That's each router. Hyphen host name. Host name is a valid variable, like one of the variable there, not the key there. And let me close it. Host name. Okay. So I need to close the curly brackets. So print. So you get what I'm trying to explain now. Is that keys. So we want to be able to explore what are even the contents of each device structure. What do we have there? So for each of the devices here, we can just so routers is actually the main parent structure that has all the content in it. And we know that okay, the routers is a dictionary, and that dictionary has a list of dictionaries within it as well. So we want to explore for each of these routers what are the contents there. So we can see that what we have here for devices for the core router, we have host name, we have management IP, we have vendor, we have interface. For the same as for the DX router as well. So if you come to the JSON file, exact structure that we have. So these are the keys that we just export now. Host name, management IP, vendor, interface. Host name, management IP, vendor, interface. So those are actually the weight we can actually use to understand how to interact with the JSON file. So let's make some modification. So we've been able to print the data and just highlight it. And let's try that things as well. So, for example, maybe I want to make a change now. So for device in JSON, so wants to for the for the DX router that connects to the backbone wants to change the speed from 10 gig to 25 gig. And that's maybe like a question for us. So now, how do we explore and how do we modify this using the JSON? So one of the things we have to do is we have to come here So for device in routers, I'm going to say, so if device, because I have to use the condition, because the main thing we're looking here is comparison operator is equals dx router. Let me confirm the name, dx router. So we have to want to change something, right? So if the host name is equals dx router, wants to change the interface speed to 10 gig. So now, based on the last keys that we have, the available keys that we have is host name, management IP, vendor, and interface. So we have to do like a nested key value pair to be able to get the speed and work with that. So now, looking at the structure, so we just have to say, okay, if device is equals to router, so then we can now say device, right? So the first key we are going to be looking at is interface. Interface. Are you getting? So the next key we are going to be looking at, based on the data structure that we have, is after looking at this is the interface. The next one is Ethernet, and the last one is speed. So we can just say, so Ethernet one, and the last key there is speed equals 25 gig. And because I actually made a change now, so I want to update the description as well. So another thing, the description of the interface. So I can see upload it, change it in a way. Okay, let's see. So these are the main. So the description also falls within the interface key, because the main key here is the main key here is host name, management IP, vendor, and interface. So now I want to go further to explore it, which is interface, which is Ethernet, and other parameters. So this to be able to view this very well, I can so I've made a change right now, and also I'm making a change as well. Same thing, interface, that's the main key, interface, and I have the same interface ID, which is Ethernet1, and it's one. And the last item there, I'm changing its description. Let me check. So equals, okay, updated. Let me check the description that we have here. Uplink to backbone. So updated uplink to backbone using Python. So I just update this variable now. So I just make these changes. So, and since I've made these changes, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is so I'll make the for loops, like, and then print um, routers. Okay, I think the interface is a key error. Interface. Let me check. So another thing is very bad. I can see there is no interface, so the key error doesn't exist. That's one of the things to be able to ability to be able to read coding in Python. So since the key doesn't exist, so it looks like there's an interface. There's a typo error here, so it needs to be interface. So you come here and edit it with interface. Add the interfaces there. Then save. Interesting. So now I'll be able to print, and printing it out right now, you can see that the host name, the X router, management IP, Arista, interface 1, and the speed is 25 gig, and also description then is uplink to backbone using Python. So you can see that the modification I just did right now worked, right? So with what I just did now, I can actually now, let's use it with handler file with, I also update my configuration file, my JSON file with this particular variable. What I just did now, I just actually want to upload it to my configuration file, to my JSON file that I have. So open, and then devices updated. I just want us to see the difference. So if I'm going to use I can use the same one, but the existing one, you can observe that the uplink to backbone and the speed is 10 gigs, but I want to update it to show the new changes we just add now. So same devices dot JSON comma. So now I'm actually writing to it. So the mode here is going to be different from read. It's going to be write. So I'm going to be write as file, and then so data. So since I'm writing to it, so I'm going to update the content of my file. So the next thing I'm going to do is JSON.dump, because this dump is that I just want to dump what I've written so far and put it here. Dump. So you can see that it's showing me two options, dump and dumps. So this dump is when I'm writing to a file. But if it's dumps, is when you're writing to a string. Maybe I have a string on my Python script. I just want to write and update that script, that string value. But since I have a file, so when you're working with a file, you use the dump without S. When you're working with a string, use the one with S. So that's why I'm using the dump. And then brackets the data. That's my whole data structure that I have since I have at the beginning, and file, which is the content of the file. So the indentation is just to make it look nice, to just structure it very well. Indents equals for just to make it looks very well. So if I save this like this, I'm gonna run it now. So as file is, I'm just trying to open this file, but in write mode, then I'm dumping the data that I have here. The data, all the content, everything I have here has been the data, right? This is the data. Everything I load here already. So I'm dumping it to this file. So this data is overriding whatever inside this file, and I'm indenting it with just a proper segmentation, just the way it looks like. Let me run it now. I've run it, and when I come to the JSON file, you can see the DX router. You can see that the speed has changed to 25 gig, and the uplink to the backbone using Python, the description has also changed. So this is typically way how you can work with a JSON file, to make changes with it, to be able to explore it, and to be able to see a lot of things that you can work with. So thank you for listening, and see you in the next session. Thank you.